The Justice Department is suing Steve Wynn. The former CEO of Wynn Resorts is accused of acting as a Chinese agent and lobbying then-President Trump. Shanghai's lockdown is causing a drug supply shortage in the U.S. The Chinese city's production has slowed to a halt as workers isolate at home. A lobby group says U.S China decoupling would carry a heavy price tag. That's despite the Chinese market's lockdown-driven slowdown. And a video of a Chinese state media journalist is getting attention online. The clip shows her walking through a U.S. shopping center while saying the country has a long way to go before life is back to normal. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Before we start, a quick thank you to today's sponsor, Shenyuan Performing Arts. Have you ever wondered what China was like before the Communist Party took over in 1949? This show depicts just that. Shenyuan showcases China's rich cultural heritage and what the regime destroyed, which is why the performance is banned in China. Captivating and uplifting, Shenyuan brings to life the legendary heroes of old, portraying the spirituality and deep wisdom present in ancient Chinese tradition. Get your tickets today at shenyuan.show/ChinaInFocus. Enter the code CNInFocus with no spaces to waive ticket fees. The Justice Department is suing Steve Wynn, the former CEO of Wynn Resorts. Officials accuse him of acting as a Chinese agent and lobbying then-President Donald Trump at Beijing's request in 2017, even though that alleged lobbying wasn't successful.
The Justice Department's civil lawsuit filed Tuesday alleges Wynn acted as an agent for the Chinese regime, lobbying Trump out of a desire to protect his business interests in Macau. That city is home to a Wynn Resorts luxury hotel and casino. The suit states that the former Wynn Resorts CEO asked then-President Trump to cancel the visa of an unnamed Chinese business person who had sought asylum in the U.S. That business person left China in 2014 and was charged with corruption by Chinese officials. The lawsuit also seeks to force Wynn to register as an agent of China under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, also known as FARA. The Justice Department alleges it had advised Wynn to register under FARA at least 3 times, but that he had declined to do so. They say Wynn acted on behalf of Sun Lijun, a former vice minister in China's Ministry of Public Security, and that he had multiple discussions with senior White House officials about organizing a meeting with Sun and other Chinese representatives. Wynn's lawyers have denied the allegations. They argue he never acted as an agent of Beijing and had no obligation to register under FARA. They also disagreed with the department's legal interpretation of FARA and said they look forward to proving their case in court.
The Wall Street Journal reported on another detail about the case, saying the unnamed Chinese business person Steve Wynn reportedly asked Trump to send back to China was Guo Wengui. The billionaire businessman left China in 2014 and applied for asylum in the U.S. He hasn't been extradited. The Chinese regime accused him of bribery and money laundering, both of which he denied. Guo has advocated for democracy and freedom, and some see him as a dissident. But some of his actions remain controversial, including when he attacked other Chinese dissidents living in the U.S. Even when the West is scrambling to counter Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Chinese Communist regime is still a pressing issue on the table. The U.S. said Washington and Europe should stand together. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Tuesday urged Europe to take a united approach to checking China and its business practices.
We have a common interest in incentivizing China to refrain from economic practices that have disadvantaged all of us. These practices range from those affecting trade and investment to development and climate policies, to approaches to provide debt relief to countries facing unsustainable debt burdens.
Yellen added that both the U.S. and Europe should find ways to work with China.
Where we share common interests, we should all find ways to engage with China and express our views. And China is more likely to respond favorably if it cannot play one of us off against the other.
Yellen made the comment in a speech delivered to an economic forum, part of the European Union. That's ahead of a meeting in Germany between finance ministers from G7 allied nations. A lack of medical supplies in China is causing a major shortage in the U.S. China's stockpile has dwindled while medical manufacturing facilities in Shanghai have been closed. Production inside the trade hub has been paused for nearly 2 months. Some U.S. hospitals are having a hard time sourcing iodinated contrast media productions, known as ICM drugs. They're a type of positive contrast agent, or dye, that X-rays can't penetrate. So after taking ICM drugs, patients' organs and blood vessels become clearly visible via X-ray or CT scans. Shanghai says it aims to lift the citywide lockdown, but the situation might not be easing so soon. Chinese Communist Party head Xi Jinping recently said China will stay resolute with its zero COVID-19 policy. Based on a statement earlier this week, the Greater New York Hospital Association anticipates an 80% supply reduction will continue for at least 6 weeks. Addressing the issue, it urges doctors to conserve the medical dye or find other alternative treatments. More than 40 cities in China are under partial or full lockdown. That accounts for almost 30% of China's economic output. The U.S. needs to make real plans with China on an issue-by-issue basis. That's according to what a U.S. lobby group said on Tuesday. The American Chamber of Commerce in China, also known as AmCham China, says it opposes any outright decoupling effort between the U.S. and China. The group voiced that stance in its latest white paper, adding that the cost of decoupling would be huge and there would be no clear winner afterward. AmCham China is a nonprofit organization. It has 4,000 members from 900 different companies across China. The organization strives to help American companies through advocacy and networking, boosting their chances at success in the country. Besides decoupling, the chamber also touched on other areas, like suggesting policy that would facilitate bilateral trading, something it called mutually beneficial. That's as concerns about China's economy and industry grow, as the country holds onto strict lockdowns and virus restrictions. AmCham China's president predicted that in the coming years, investment into China will most likely decline, and the chamber's chairman said China's business environment has become a lot less predictable. The chamber's latest survey appeared to back up those predictions. According to the poll conducted from late April to early May, over half of AmCham China's member companies have cut revenue projections for this year, and over 60% of them have suffered supply chain disruptions. A report from Chinese state broadcaster CCTV is getting some attention. In the clip, a CCTV reporter is speaking on camera from what appears to be a U.S. shopping plaza. The reporter is the only one seen wearing a mask, a contrast to the surrounding shoppers and store owners. While walking through the crowd, the reporter addresses the pandemic in the U.S., saying the worst is yet to come.
美国想回到正常的生活，还有很长的一段路要走。
She also quotes a list of numbers, predicting that if the new virus variant were to appear, almost 80% of Americans would get infected, and that as many as 260,000 Americans would die because of it. The reporter also took note of how masks are becoming a less common sight.
美国是真的已经走出了疫情，还是在继续走向疫情的深渊？这一切可能只有鲜活的数据在讲述着事情的真相。
The report has already generated a number of comments on social media. Some of them imply that the only unusual aspect about the clip is the reporter herself, not the fact that those around her are maskless. One comment with more than 600 likes takes another approach. It reads, "The U.S. is defenseless against a media that blatantly fabricates fake news, just allows it to rush in and do whatever at will." Investigators of the China Eastern Airlines crash are looking at whether it was due to intentional action by someone on the flight deck. There is no evidence so far of a technical malfunction. On Tuesday, a Wall Street Journal report cited U.S. officials who said flight data from one of the plane's black boxes showed someone in the cockpit intentionally crashed the plane.
The incident was mainland China's deadliest air disaster in decades, killing all 123 passengers and 9 crew members on board. Jet maker Boeing, the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, and the Chinese embassy in Washington declined to comment. NTSB investigators travelled to China to assist with the probe and helped review black box data at a US lab in Washington. The Boeing 737-800 was on a short flight in southern China before it took rapid descent and crashed in a mountain range in the province of Guangxi. Authorities have said the pilots did not respond to repeated calls from air traffic controllers and nearby planes during the plunge. China Eastern could not immediately be reached for comment on Tuesday, but the Wall Street Journal reported that the airline said in a statement that no evidence emerged that could determine whether or not there were any problems with the aircraft. In a summary of its preliminary crash report in April, Chinese regulators did not point to any technical recommendations on the 737-800, which has been in service since 1997 with a strong safety record, according to experts. On Wednesday morning, screenshots of the Wall Street Journal story appeared to be censored on China's Twitter-like platform Weibo and messaging app WeChat. The hashtag topics, China Eastern and China Eastern black boxes, were banned on Weibo, and users are unable to share the story in group chats on WeChat.
The Wall Street Journal published a new update on China's Eastern airplane crash. The new report states the disaster was intentional. The story sparked immediate buzz in China, but it wasn't long before discussion about it appeared to get censored. A hashtag translated as China Eastern MU5735 disappeared from social media site Weibo, with many comments about the U.S. assessment seemingly deleted. One internet user responded, "Even if my account gets blocked after I post this, there is no reason to stay in the Chinese network. What is there to say? Is there any truth on the Chinese internet?" He went on to add, "The idea that the Chinese people are the hardest working and most disciplined, who never get into trouble, will be the only voice heard on Chinese websites." The average personal income in China is much lower compared to in the U.S. In the end, it's ironic that we need the U.S. to reveal the truth for us Chinese. Until now, not a single Chinese media outlet has responded to or even opposed the Wall Street Journal's report. Social media took notice of this too. Addressing the rare situation, one Chinese internet user said, "So not a single media outlet inside the wall has reported on the Eastern Airlines news." The comment refers to China's Great Firewall, an internet blockade the Chinese regime uses to restrict the flow of information. A comment under that post reads, "There is only one media outlet inside the wall," while another reply asked, "Where's the real media inside the wall? It's all propaganda." Led by official media outlets, Shanghai says it's going back to normal, but residents are poking holes in those reports. A clip on social media shows a group of people holding signs with music playing, parading down the street. It's one of many clips depicting celebrations, alongside reports that the city is finally lifting its lockdown. But midway through the video, a resident stops the celebrators. The man repeatedly asks the paraders why they're claiming the lockdown is over when people in the area are still stuck at home. Similar reports have also shown up on state media. On Monday, state media shared photos showing that the city is gradually coming back to normal. The images highlight supermarkets packed with goods, people going back to work, and public transportation running again. Local authorities in Shanghai also took to social media, writing on Weibo that the city is going back to normal starting Monday. But the media reports quickly drew backlash from Shanghai residents, and many of the state media reports have been reported to China's anti-fraud regulator. One social media comment seems to sum up the sentiment. It reads, "We live in the Xinwen Lianbo every day." That's the name of a state media daily news program. The station has a reputation for delivering propaganda and for trying to brainwash Chinese people. Another comment, this time on Twitter, says everyone knows the bar in Shanghai has been lifted except Shanghai residents. It goes on to say, quote, "Don't ask me how I know, I am in Shanghai." That's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We're now sharing a shortened version of our program here. That's after being demonetized for more than a year. Here's what to look out for in our second half. Capital keeps flowing out of China, a trend that's continued for 3 months in a row. China has stopped releasing data and is now refusing to say whether foreign investors are selling off Chinese bonds. And Anders Kaur, publisher of the Journal of Political Risk, joins us in our second half. He sheds light on the impact Beijing's sweeping lockdowns are having on life in America. Our full episode can be watched on our partner platform, Epoch TV. To celebrate Epoch TV's 1-year anniversary, we're offering a 50% discount on subscriptions. To sign up, please click the link down below or find us at ept.ms/epochtv-anniversary_Tiffany. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow. A war without bullets. The Chinese regime has a strategy to win without fighting, to destroy a country from within. In this special report, we look at how the Chinese regime uses unrestricted warfare, how that's playing out in America, and how lives are already being impacted.
Presenting the heritage of traditional Chinese martial arts, promoting martial ethics, and reviving the true tradition. The 2022 NTD International Traditional Chinese Martial Arts Competition preliminaries will be held in New York and Taiwan. On August 28th, the finals will be broadcast live online worldwide. Registration hotline 188-477-9228. For more information, please visit martialarts.ntdtv.com.